Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. If you're new here, my name is Elena and I'm the homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos. And here on the channel, we talk about everything from homeschooling to homemaking and all the things in between. Today, we're going to talk about, I guess, one of those in-between things. We're going to talk about what we're reading coming up in Q2 here. In this case, I think I'm using the Royal We because I'm really just showing you books that I plan on reading for the next quarter and a fun little book bundle that my librarians put together for me. So at our library, you can fill out online a little questionnaire, a really short one, about books that you've read, some of your favorite books, and what you're looking for as far as reading goes. And the librarians will pick out a couple of books for you and put them on a hold shelf for you so that you can pick them up the next time you're in the library. I went ahead and filled this out because I know I've mentioned in some of my other reading videos that one of the things that I like to do, especially when it's hard or we're just kind of in a rush, having the kids at the library and stuff, sometimes it can be difficult for me to go look for my own books. What I'll do is go online and pick out some books and then just put them on hold. And then that way, what I can do is focus all my attention on my kids at the library instead of having trying to do both, trying to have them either be quiet in the adult section while I pick out some books, or getting my oldest to keep the younger ones quiet. So it just, some days it works, some days it doesn't. And so in the seasons when it's not working out so well, I will pull books online and have them placed on hold for me. And I thought this was a great way to kind of be surprised and have the librarians pick out some for me. So here is the stack that they picked out for me. There was actually 6 books, but I put one back because I own it and I wanted to have it on their shelves in case somebody else wanted to read it. You do get to pick, at least at our library, you get to pick how many books you are requesting that they pick out for you. So I put 4 to 6 and they had technically picked out 6 books for me, but like I said, I put one back. The book that I did put back that we already own is this one here. They had picked out for me Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, but we have this really great little version of it by S. Bourne Books, and it is one that is on my to be read. This one is a S. Bourne illustrated original. It says Little Women complete and unabridged, and it's just a really they've got some really sweet illustrations in here. Sorry, I got a little glare on the window, but so I put this one back, like I said, so in case somebody else wanted to check it out. But this was one of the books, Little Women was one of the books that they had checked out for me. The questionnaire asks you to name at least 3 books or authors that you've read. So I left them with Anne of Green Gables, especially the first couple books in the series. I read that earlier this year, I believe, or late last year. I will link, I think it was late last year. I will link the video up if you want to see it, and then my thoughts on it. And then I also named the Harry Potter series, the Elm Creek Quilts series, and then Mrs. Cecily's Recipes for Exceptional Ladies by Vicki Zimmerman was a book I had read a few years back and I really enjoyed. And then they do ask if there's a subject that you don't want, that you want to avoid, or a certain genre that you don't want. And so I just marked thrillers because that's not really my kind of style of books. And then they just ask you if you're looking for a specific theme or if you have any reading habits. And I just let them know that I typically read for fun. I mean, it should be fun, right? But I'm typically reading as a little escape, and I look for lighthearted, almost Hallmark movie versions of books most of the time. And then I just also shared that I had just started reading classics and was just diving into that and wanting to read more. So with all that information, here is what they picked out for me. They have this one, Seeking Persephone. Oh my gosh, I'm probably butchering this. It's a novel by Sarah M. Eden, and this one says, when Persephone Lancaster receives a marriage proposal from the ill-tempered Duke, she refuses, and then I can't read the next part because it's covered by their sticker. So it looks like she refuses. He offers her a large amount of money that would end up saving her family from ruin. So with her character optimism, she travels to the far reaches of Northumberland to wed a greatly feared stranger. You know, this actually kind of reminds me of maybe a retelling of Beauty and the Beast loosely, because it goes on to say that the Duke is not a very handsome man. He has a lot of scars on his body and his soul. They move into his cold mansion, and he has to either learn how to get along with people because he realizes he must face the risk of revealing his true feelings or lose the woman he cannot live without. So that sounds interesting. I think this is a book I would definitely enjoy reading. The next book that they picked out is Lady Maybe by Julie Klassen. A little review on the back from Historical Novels says it's what readers love of Jane Austen, Downton Abbey, and a bit of Jane Eyre, everything a historical romance reader looks for. So I don't read too many historical books, but I'm willing to give it a try. I thought that getting the librarians to pick out some books for me or having them pick out some books for me would be a great way to kind of stretch what I normally reach for on the shelves. This one is, this woman is in an accident, it looks like. She doesn't remember much. She just remembers, I think, right before the accident happens, and then now she is waking up with a bunch of strangers. That didn't sound right. She wakes up in a house full of people she doesn't recognize. So she doesn't wake up with strangers, but she remembers a baby, and a ring on her finger reminds her of a lie. And so, I don't know, we get to find out, I think, what happened to her. So that's kind of cool. Let's see what else we have. I have 3 more books here. The Secret Garden. I'm excited for this. I've actually never read this book. I think that I might have started it, if memory serves me, which it sometimes doesn't. I think I might have started it as a young girl and then just didn't get into it. Wasn't my timing for the book. So I do want to read this. I'm excited to see what it is about. I know this is a classic, and so or what some would consider a classic. I'm not an expert on that. Well, the little tab on the side here says classic, so we're gonna call it that. I'm gonna definitely read this. I hope to get to this one sooner rather than later. The Secret Garden is a book that I've heard lots and lots about throughout the years. It is so well known that it doesn't even actually have a blurb of what the book is about on the back. It just has a blurb about the author. So this book, I'm excited to read. I've also checked out Eden Brook for me. Oh, on top it says A Proper Romance. So that's exciting. A heart-pounding love story. I couldn't stop turning the pages. This one follows Marianne Daventry, and she is looking to escape the life she's at now. She's escaping an unwanted suitor and a boring town, and her twin sister invites her country estate, and so she jumps at the chance, and then things ensue. Well, she thinks it's going to be just a great getaway, a terrifying run-in with a highwayman to a seemingly harmless flirtation. Marianne finds herself embroiled in an unexpected adventure filled with enough romance and intrigue to keep her mind racing. Will she be able to rein in her traitorous heart, or will the mysterious stranger sweep her off her feet? So these are definitely giving me like Hallmark movie vibes, which is great because honestly that's what I give them in the questionnaire, was that I wanted something lighthearted. I wanted an escape. I needed books that were easy to be picked up and put down at a moment's notice and then be able to be picked back up again. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so the final book here, oh, the prequel to Anne of Green Gables. I didn't even know there was one. This might be common knowledge. I didn't realize. So Before Green Gables, it's a novel by Budge Wilson. And so this is the story of how Anne of Green Gables kind of becomes Anne. We learn a little bit about her background in Anne of Green Gables, and if you've not read it, I highly recommend you do. I really liked that book. It was such a sweet story, especially if you can use a shot of optimism, if you could use a little bit of hope. I think Anne of Green Gables is such a sweet, wonderful story that will give you that inspiration or hope that you're looking for. There is a sad bit in it, but I don't want to give too much away in case you haven't read it. But all in all, it was just one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book of last year. So this one is goes more in depth of Anne before she goes to Green Gables. So I'm really excited for this one. This will actually be probably the first one I pick up. And that concludes the books that the librarian picked out for me. I don't know if it was like a group effort, if there was more than one librarian that did it, or if there's just one that does it. But, and then of course Little Women as well. But here are the books that they picked for me. I'm excited to dive into them. I think these are going to be some great choices. Let me also share with you a couple of other books that I checked out because I went into this year thinking I was not going to do a reading challenge, but then I went on Storygraph, which is where I am logging my books now. If you're on Storygraph and want to be friends, I will try to link my profile. I don't know if I can do that. If I can do that, I will link it down below. But either way, I will link to the app because I think it's a great app for tracking books and things like that. And then you can see your reading stats. It's got a lot of fun information on there if you're into that kind of stuff. It shows you like how many pages you read or the genres you tend to go towards. And I don't have the paid plan for it. There's a free option and then there's a paid plan, which really sounds amazing. It's just not something that we've taken the plunge on yet, but they have even more things available to you, so they can do like even more customized recommendations on there, which would be great if your library doesn't offer a service like this. You can get customized recommendations based on what you've read on Storygraph. So if you've not checked it out, you should, but I will link that down below for you. On Storygraph though, where I was going with this is there were a couple of reading challenges. One was a fairy tale reading challenge, and you could either read the fairy tale of the month if you've not read it, or you could read a retelling of it. And I really enjoy fairy tale retellings. I enjoy hearing the different spins that they put on it. I really enjoy Disney has the whole villains line where they tell the story kind of from their perspective of what's happened there. Those are really fun books for me. I think it's really neat to see a different kind of perspective or maybe retelling of different things. And so I have been following along with that and checking out different books, and you'll see a couple here in the bag in a moment. And then the other challenge that I have joined is the Flourish and Blotts 2022 Harry Potter Challenge, the Ordinary Wizarding Levels or O.W.L.s reading challenge. And that was hosted by, I'm probably gonna get the username wrong, but vissara. Last year I was going to try to read the Harry Potter series over the holidays, but I didn't get to it. I don't know, there's something about Harry Potter kind of just reminds me of the holidays. So I didn't get to it, so then I said, that's fine, I'll just reread the series this upcoming year. And you know, I've not picked up one, but that's okay. It's still March. I've got plenty of time, right? I mean, that's what we always think. So I don't know. Anyways, at some point during this year, I might want to reread the series. I keep waiting for one of my kids to be interested in it, but so far, no luck. So I figured joining the reading challenge would be the next best thing. And that's really fun because you can kind of pick how many books you want to do and then get your OWL level based on how many books you read. So you can just do 5 books, one for each of the subjects, or you can do multiple books for each subject. On and on. If you are interested, it is in Storygraph, and you can look that up there. I will try to link that for you as well. But some of the books that I checked out from our library are for those challenges specifically. I just picked out 4 because I knew that the library was going to be picking out books for me as well. And you know, eventually you have to turn in your library books, and I didn't want to run the risk of somebody putting them on hold and then not being able to renew them. You know what I mean? Like if you have a book checked out and somebody puts it on hold, you can't renew it. You have to turn it in right away so you can give it to that person. And so I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew, but that's hard when it comes to books. I just want to read all the things sometimes. So I ended up getting 2 Twisted Tales from Disney. I did mention that I like to read these kinds of books. The first one I picked up was What Once Was Mine by Liz Braswell. What if Rapunzel's mother drank a potion from the wrong flower? This has been out for a while. Most of these books that I'm showing you have been out for a while because we try to utilize the library as much as we can. And then also we typically buy used books. So most of my things that I'm putting up are books that have been out for a while. But I've not read this one yet, and so I'm excited to kind of read it. And I believe this is the prompt for May. Rapunzel is actually the prompt for May, but I figure I might as well get a jump start on it because it was available at the library, and these tend to be popular books at my library. For the month of April, the fairy tale prompt is Cinderella, and I actually have 2 books for that. The first one is So This Is Love, another twisted tale, but this one is by Elizabeth Lim. Cinderella never tried on the glass slipper, and so we kind of get to follow out what happens to her if she never did that, and what happens to the story. So I checked this one out because this is another one that I haven't read yet, but this one was not quite available. I wasn't sure if I put it on hold or I requested it, but it wasn't quite available. Somebody else had it checked out, and I never know when they'll turn it back in. So I knew we were headed to the library, and I wanted to make sure that I grabbed one to at least start for April's reading challenge. And so I also put this book on hold, Disenchanted Trials. This one is Cinderella. This is a series by Megan Morrison. She also has a Rapunzel book as well that I was interested in, but I thought I had, again, enough books so I could like pause and maybe sneak that one in April too. I don't know, we'll see. This one is a retelling of it. Ella Coach has One Wish Revolution and Prince Charming has One Wish Evolution. And it talks about I believe that the story is about how Cinder, or they call her Ella, and her mom died in a sweatshop, working in a sweatshop, and so she wants to bring justice to that. And Prince Charming, his family actually has a curse, and it's being broken with his generation, or with him, it is finally broken. And so we kind of follow along and see how the story plays out with that. And then the last book I picked up has been all over YouTube, or maybe all over the YouTubers I've been watching and kind of seeing, The Kiss Quotient. I know that this one has been out, like I said, for a while. This one is by Helen Huang. I'm actually really interested in reading the other books that she has as well, because she is on the spectrum, and her characters, it seems like all are as well. This particular one, the character Stella, has Asperger's. I'm sure you've heard all about this book, and if you haven't, Stella is more about algorithms than other things, and she has Asperger's and realizes that at 30 she doesn't really know about the physicality of things like kissing and other relationship things, and so she sets out to know these things. In the pattern that she knows how, she's just going to research, and she comes to a conclusion that she needs practice. And so she hires escort Michael Fan, and then of course the story takes off from there, and we see how that ensues for them. So that is it for my library haul. Hi, editing me. So I had to stop myself. I'm right in the living room with all my family here editing, but this video is getting to be so long. So I was gonna tell you what I read for my Q1 and how those books kind of went, but I think what I'll do is just make that a part 2 of the video. So we're gonna close it out here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching this. Really appreciate you guys spending your time hanging out with me, watching the videos we make. We gotta tend to my little. Again, thanks so much for hanging out with me. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you can see part 2 of this video. And if you are already a subscriber, thanks again. I really, really appreciate you